Tune in, sit down, it's time for the Brohams Brews to shine. Sip it slow and take a seat. Join the chat, life's bittersweet.
This is Brohams Chugging Brews. Hi, my name's Fidel. I'm your host, and today's special guest is Abeni.
Hello.
Poet and writer. Thank you for coming by. Really appreciate you making time to come by.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Angel, for suggesting my presence as a guest.
And today we're going to be going over Welch beverages, ready to go drinks. A little bit of a kind of a childhood walk down memory lane, but as an adult. So first we want to start off with a poem.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little poem if that's okay first.
Yep.
Right, so whenever you're ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
I used to think my value was set in the way you held my hand, showing me off, wanting those other women to understand. My first mistake was grasping your palm tight as if that'd prevent you from having wandering sight. I should have known there was nothing I could do to have you see me right in front of you, blinded from the beginning, your dick constantly chasing where your heart's been missing. And when you did have the audacity to speak to me, you told me I should date other dudes. Damn, I must mean nothing to you. Throwing me away and treating me like scraps you just tapped, willing to give me to others unwrapped. You have low standards, but I see your value, you say. Now turn around and bend over. Imagine me fading, bearing your emotions in this brown-skinned lady. Fuck me over like you did in the living room, making me forget about all the things you just said, baby, soon. I like to fly away. But then I realized if my self-esteem is non-existent, it's only because you were so consistent. And setting the bar so low that my standard couldn't be higher than 2 inches off the floor. Cause I'm aware of the disrespect you cause, never pause, half-stepped and unreflective, the way a hustler and flesh peddler does to his pocket girlfriend undetected. But baby, now these legs that once opened for you is walking over to that new view. Now my body doesn't cower and shrink every time I think of you. I take up space and know that I'm beautiful with confidence and certainty, lovingly without your heavy body and dark cloud hanging over me. And now I smile not because it's expected or because it makes others feel good, but because of the choices I made and the magic I speak, knowing you can't even touch the world I seek. You don't have the amount of drive and discipline and talent I have, and just the look in my eyes. Keep doing what you're doing. Distract and stay stagnant. Watch your dreams get buried and die. Hoping you don't mourn for too long before you realize you can change and be alive. I'll see you in the afterlife. Rest in peace. Snaps.
My bad.
No, you can clap or snap.
That's really, really cool. Let's start off with well, thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
And first drink will be passion fruit mojito, made with real fruit juice. Yeah, take that sip and tell me what you think.
I mean, it really just tastes like juice.
Not wrong about that.
It's a good flavor though.
Okay. Nice.
Flavor.
Wow.
What do you think?
I think it's okay for 5.9% alcohol. Not too bad.
Too sweet?
No, it's I'm okay with it. So tell us, with poetry, when did that start? What age?
I started writing in journals when I was 10. Poetry came around when I was 14, 13, 14. Things would just kind of come to me out of nowhere, write them down. But I never really shared them with anybody. And the people who did read them were just like close friends or, nosy nosy girlfriends that were going through my stuff, you know, and they're like, who's this about? And I'll be like, don't worry about it. And then later on, as I got older, I started just kept on writing and writing. That's how I got a lot of my emotions out. And I wasn't sure whether they were poems or just entries or what they were. And I really didn't start in the poetry realm until about maybe 2 years ago. And I just had this urge one day to say what I had to say in front of people. So I went to an open mic and I got kind of hooked. I started doing it like 5 nights a week. And then it became a big part of my life and community now. So I've been spending a lot of time doing poetry in the past few years, but I kind of fell into it. And I think a lot of people start off as like closeted poets, as like secret poets. Yeah.
I from seeing your artwork, I feel like you're really just pouring yourself out there to the world, and it's crazy. It's cool. It's very brave, you know, and I dig it. You know, a lot of, you know, from hearing your podcast and your recent book, it's touched me in a way, you know,
really?
made me a little sad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. Sorry.
So, no, it's cool because you know, you feel something like with that short story. I kind of just oh, you know, teenage love, but then it morphs into what it does, and it's relatable. You know, it should be relatable for, you know, I want to say our generation and later. Yeah. You know, so like it was really, really cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Itzenkate is a very personable and close story to me. Right. And I really wanted to kind of capture what it was like to have a very like pure young love that there was no sex involved. There was just something that is so strong and emotional. And there's something about a strong like romantic connection from like starting in middle school, because I think everybody kind of remembers their first crush and their first boyfriend in middle school, and I've always been fascinated by those stories because it's a very innocent part, and for heterosexual men especially, because I feel like that version of them when they were young and in a kid, you know, you're nervous holding someone's hand you like, you know, having your first kiss and building that connection. And I was just lucky enough to have a connection, you know, at that age where it continued on as we grew older. And a lot of people, I think, do have like a special person like that from their childhood in their heart. And I was like, it's something that I think could be talked about more. I think a lot of people keep it inside themselves.
Right. Yeah, the part when you talked about when he was basically kicking it with the homie, trying to be cool. And mentioned like, oh yeah, she was bad at kissing. He didn't, obviously that was never meant for her ears. Yeah. But you know, at that age, if you were to hear that, you're gonna be very upset. Yeah. And when I read that part, I was like, oh no, like bro, like what are you doing? Like you shouldn't do that on a field trip, let alone, you know, like it was like.
I think also it was like a moment where, you know, I think in hindsight, like as an adult, it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, like kids are just trying to be cool in front of their friends. But it's like a huge deal when you're like 12 or like 11, because you're like, damn, that was my first kiss. And I was just like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, you know, and you weren't that great either. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then, but it's like something that is like, I think the character in that moment was trying to choose like, okay, I have to look cool in front of my friends. And, you know, like they're not going to tell her that I said this. But it didn't turn out well in that sense, because it broke off their initial connection at that moment. And I think that happens a lot, like in middle school. If you think back to your middle school memories, like, you know, people break up after like 2 periods of like being together, you know, like really dumb stuff. Right. Do you have any like stories like that in middle school?
I mean, none that come to mind, but I know what he was doing. Yeah. Like he was just trying to be cool. Like, I'm not that much into her, she's into me. And it was like, you know, she caught him in the act and was like, damn, you know, is I feel like as a guy, a lot of us guys do that because you're just talking to the homies and it's almost like it brought me back to, when I was in middle school, a lot of guys that were really strung up on the girls, they would say, oh, that fool's pussy whipped. He's following her around and, you weren't trying to be, you're like, no, bro.
Yeah. Well, there's societal repercussions for being like really into your girl. You know what I mean? Like there is actually like damn, like almost like a lowerness of manhood that I think are often portrayed from other heterosexual men, which is really sad because then I've noticed that, going back to Itzencate, I think the reason why the connection was so strong between them is because you could be vulnerable and connect. And a lot of times heterosexual men, the only person they can do that with is with a woman because we give them space because we're taught that that's okay with other women and with men. And a lot of times, especially our generation, and I think it's changing now, which is amazing. Yeah. But for us, it was like, oh, you had to like hide that self, hide yourself a little bit. And even if you were sensitive and was like kind of a very affectionate young man, you wouldn't be able to show that to your friends, really. It would be in private moments.
But actually, it's kind of silly. I was on TikTok last night, and also on Instagram, I was looking at some of your poetry and stuff and how you've done, the open mics. But going back to TikTok, I see some guys, they're dancing to music and they're really out there, and it's like, it's cool because they're just like how your poetry, they're able to put themselves out there, and men now can be doing these dance things and make it public, and it's like it's not frowned upon as much nowadays. It's more of a shit, if I could do that, I would do that too.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And
it's cool.
I think you can definitely see the changes that are happening in the newer generation, which I think is amazing, where like, I see my nephews play video games and there's no like preference amongst gender, like the characters you pick and stuff, and there's still a lot of more openness as far as maybe being a little more feminine or the colors you wear. Like all of that's changing more rapidly than I think was where we were at when we were younger. But I think also it's like our generation's also unlearning a lot of that stuff in our adulthood. And part of the story was the reflection of that. There's also a part in the story where him and I go to school wearing the same outfit. Yeah,
and they're making fun of him.
Right.
Why do you like her? She dresses like a boy.
Yeah, they're making fun of him because I was, at the time just wearing t-shirts and Dickies pants, and like it was like, oh damn, like you guys are literally wearing the same outfit. Right. And it was like kind of kudos to the character of liking her anyway. Like it didn't matter, it was something deeper than that, and that he was getting a lot of pushback for liking her. So and then that the character herself is like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this is what I'm comfortable in right now, and I could be feminine one day or be a little bit more masculine the other day, and I have that freedom to choose. And part of the confidence that she was exerting in that story is like something that one, I wish I had today in my adult life, but also like every young girl should be given automatically, should have, I wish our society really catered to that more so. But it's hard being a young girl, I think, especially now with TikTok and stuff, and seeing different standards of beauty and knowing and being like, am I good looking enough? Am I this? Or, and sometimes kids are growing up at a faster pace because our technology is so advanced. So
yeah, they do grow at a faster pace. And even at our age growing up, people were in a rush to grow up.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And it's you tell, now I understand when like our parents and our elders would tell us, hey, don't try to grow up so fast.
Yeah.
At the time, you don't hear it, you don't care. Yeah. You're like, whatever. But now I'm the one that's like, hey, I still call my daughter, she's 4 years old, I call her a baby. She's like, I'm not a baby. I'm like, no, you're my baby, And eventually I'm gonna have to try not to grow up so fast.
Right.
Then bills come. It's not fun. Well, let's look at our next one.
Yeah.
This next one will be Watermelon Mule.
Nice.
So, the Feelings podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell us about it. On the last episode you and Angel had, I like the questions. And, when it comes to abortion, nobody ever knows why that law kind of came into effect. And I found it very informative how you gave us background, because a lot of people just go into thinking negative, worst case scenario, some kid being a kid, but it came from a real issue. And that was really, really cool. And also with the Feeling podcast, very brave once again, is how you're talking about your personal life, your love life.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, whoa, she really put it out there. And it's good stuff. It's if you judge that by just the name, the Feeling podcast, no, it's much more to it. And I thought it was cool, and I really hope you guys bring it back.
Yeah, we actually tried to record Angel and I, my co-host for the Feelings podcast, who was on your show. And him and I tried to record a first episode, but it didn't end up going, although it was really fun. It was actually a really great, funny episode, but we didn't actually get the audio for it. So we're going to try again. But the Feelings podcast is really special in a sense where like we could be vulnerable and bring up maybe more serious topics and very nostalgic topics, because Angel and I are both very nostalgic people. We're very similar in that sense. And we can kind of talk about things that were not only important to us personally, but we think might relate to a lot of people on a large scale. And bringing up serious topics like that, like abortion or, reproductive rights, that is important to me specifically on a personal level, but I think it is important to have knowledge as to why we had that law in the first place. How often women specifically seek out those services for various reasons, and it's been happening for more than we think, for hundreds and hundreds of years, and different ways of doing it naturally, and depending on what culture you're looking at. But the Feelings podcast is great also in a sense where we talk about, my love life, and people can relate to that, because a lot of times it's hard to be vulnerable on a public platform. I'm very used to it. Period. So. With other people and on a public platform. And I'm kind of used to it by now, because that's most of my work is based off of that, especially romantic relationships. I talk a lot about romantic relationships, but I also wanted to be very clear and candid when, Angel was there for me at a very dark time, at a very difficult breakup. He was bringing me food when it was hard to even function at that point. And he was a great support for me at that time. But it was also during the time where we were recording the Feelings podcast, where I was going through a very difficult breakup. And I think what people don't really understand is that when you are stepping outside of a world you've created with someone else very deeply, there's a lot of changes and things that are going through your brain and body on a physical, scientific level, where you're really, for the lack of better words, if it's truly love, then you may feel more okay with the breakup. But if there was a situation similar to mine where there was a lot of high and lows, you're very much addicted to that person, because they only gave you a little bit of time and then took it away, a little bit of time and took it away. So you're going through basically a withdrawal of the world that you were in and the person you were with. And that can be very painful physically, emotionally, and it can be very difficult on your brain. So I wanted to be as candid as possible, because breakups are one of the most common thing across the board, no matter what gender or no matter who you are. We all kind of participate in a romantic love in some shape, way, or form. And I kind of wanted it to normalize, one, not being okay, being sad, maybe being depressed, normalize being maybe wanting something that is not good for you, and you know that, and that battle between that as well, which is also why from when the Feelings podcast, when it ended, I started doing Unpretty. And Unpretty talked about all the unpretty moments, talked about those severe small moments where you're like, damn, like, I don't want to be here. I know how bad it is for me. I know how bad it is for my health to be with this person, but I'm still somehow can't stop thinking about them, or still can't stop thinking about that small positive part and not the huge bigger picture, which was negative and detrimental. So people go through that a lot, and it's very difficult to get your mindset out of that. And I wanted to let people know that it's okay to be there. It's actually normal. Your body is actually functioning in a very normal way, which means it's on alert. It's in a survival mode, because usually, especially somebody in my situation where there was a lot of betrayal indicates to someone on a very primitive level, on a very natural level, that you're in danger. So that's why a lot of people react in ways that they normally wouldn't react if you were with somebody that was secure, not cheating on you, someone that you feel comfortable with, almost like you would a family member. So it's very interesting. I've learned a lot since those experiences, but Unpretty came from that as well, where I wanted to have a voice. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to tell my story. And also I wanted to say, like, you know, I think there should be some reflection upon why the repercussions of why people cheat, what the product of that is for the other person, maybe for the person who's doing it as well.
So two things. Number one, what did you think?
I said, these are reminding me of like a candy flavor.
Really? This one for me was not my favorite. Not my favorite.
I would say I like this less than passion fruit.
Fair. Number two, I think it's great that you're bringing up that it's okay to hurt, and that those feelings that you feel are normal. It's part of the process. Yeah. You know, at our younger years, a lot of people try to just chase up. I need to feel better. I need to feel better. And that's not always the answer. Right. And it's great.
I was definitely one of those people. Like
I think a lot of people, you know, they want to get out of that. Let's go out tonight, you know, and it's not always the best.
And then also I was just so eager to be okay. I just want to be okay. I don't want to hurt anymore. I just want to be good again. Cause I'm not really someone who naturally gets anxiety. I'm not really someone who naturally is depressed for long periods of time. You know, I use my writing a lot to get out my feelings. So I process it. I've learned to process it really in the moment a lot personally. But because of the breakup was so, it was the longest I've ever had those physical ailments from the breakup. It was like a 3-4 month period where I really couldn't get out of it. It was very scary to me. And I was so eager to be on the other end. But really what I've learned is that you do kind of have to sit in the pain, unfortunately, for a little while to understand what is happening. And then you kind of have to, almost like you would a child, take care of yourself like you would a child for a little bit. And then eventually you'll get better. Eventually you'll start being okay. What I did to help with my anxiety is I went outside a lot. So I stood in the grass, and I went to plant things with my friend Carissa. So a lot of nature actually helped me.
Nice. Yeah. I like to, I don't know how to really say it, but like the last 10, 12 years or more, practicing stoicism. Now it's not being cold and calculated. It's more being in tune with your emotions and accepting things. So it's, like I said, it's really cool how you talk about it. I get sad with some of your artwork. Because I mean, but it's cool because it's emulating life and all that. But it's not sad in a bad way. It's sad in a good way because it's like I can relate, or I know some of the imagery you use. It's not a lot because it leaves it for us to fill in the gaps, which I like, because I don't like reading paragraphs about this and that. But for you, it seems like it's only a couple sentences, but it's like I know what she's talking about. I know what it's like sitting in the dry grass and all that good stuff. But I
really appreciate that, because I do hope that my work is impactful in that way, and that maybe, even though it's sad, because I'm very much a sad girl, I guess, in my artistry, but I'm hoping that it's sad in a beautiful way.
Yeah,
that's often how I take in other material that's really sad. It's just like, God, this is so beautiful. It's so because it is vulnerable, and vulnerability is, I think, very, very beautiful. Although I was very aware that there may be some people, not that there's a lot of people looking at my stuff, but that there would be some people that would take it as like, either like, damn, she's heartbroken again, or two, like, oh, this is weird, like, why is she talking about that?
Yeah, I don't think so.
All that stuff. So
the Unpretty podcast,
yes,
I like that story on the last episode, the story that you had on there, because we've all have dealt with something like that, like especially that how you're mentioning your body's rejecting it, and how you're kind of like, I should leave, I shouldn't be here. It's funny because I whenever I see red flags, the older I got, I would just be like, I'm done, because I learned, because I got hurt and all that stuff. So I would listen to those red flags, but you could see where at the same time I understand where, like, the first 5 minutes, how you didn't want to leave because you don't want to be a bad person. You don't want to, not that you don't want to protect yourself, but you want to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And
I always tell people who are going through, especially a betrayal of some sort in their relationship, whether they're deciding to stay or go. I never tell people to stay or go, but I always try to let them know that, like, everything they're feeling is normal. And one of the things is that, it's completely natural and normal for when you first get into a relationship to trust your partner, to want to understand where they're coming from, to taking their word as truth, even though it seems a little weird or you're getting an intuition that something is off. It's totally normal to want to be like, okay, I'm giving my partner the benefit of the doubt because this is my partner and I want to understand their thought process, the way they're feeling, and to have consideration for your partner. That is the most pure and natural thing you could possibly do, which I know that a lot of people are really hard on themselves afterward, after the fact. I should have known, I should have done this, I should have done that.
You don't know.
You don't know. And if you would have really known, then you would have had that information, and you would have done with it what you would have done now, whatever you're deciding. And I think it's okay to not know. It's okay to be trustworthy. That is something that you want to do when you're first in a relationship. And a lot of people are like, damn, I should have. There's this rhetoric.
It's hindsight.
Yeah, there's this rhetoric, especially on TikTok and stuff. TikTok's a big relationship therapist. That's really big on TikTok. And a lot of the narratives that I see a lot, especially put on heterosexual women, is that if you love yourself, if you're smart, you'll see the signs. If you see the red flags, you dip. All those things. But really, it's not something that happens naturally.
Right.
And it's something that is a tool, something that you learn over time. And you will, even though your intuition's there, you really don't heal from things, because you can love yourself to the fullest amount individually by yourself, that that can still be true, but once you get into a relationship, there's certain things that won't be healed until you're actually in the relationship, because nothing else will trigger that until you're actually in that dynamic. And it's in a secure relationship that you actually heal from past relationships. And that's been proven over and over in a lot of like psychology. So it's okay to not be fully healed. It's okay to not be sure of like, oh, does this mean I don't love myself because I'm staying in a situation that maybe not be great for me? I don't think that's what that means. I think it means you're learning, you're understanding what it means to be with the person you're with. And if you decide, okay, this is not what I want, then you can go. It doesn't mean that you have low love for yourself. And I don't know, that's always bothered me. And I was like, it's a lot more nuanced than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So a couple things. I like how you brought up primal, right? Like a primal instinct of that feeling, that intuition.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. You feel those, and it's something's going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost like as if you were walking down the street and you sensed some type of danger, or you saw
quiet all of a sudden. You're like, what's going on?
You saw some guy and you're like, I don't know who that may, like, or if a guy was to look at you weird, like, you'd pick that up, your brain would process it and be like, something's wrong here. You know what I mean? It's very similar. For thousands and thousands of years, humans had that to protect themselves from animals, from natural disasters, danger. But now that we don't have that as much, we
ignore it. We
ignore it, and then also our body registers danger in a different way. Now it's more situational. Now it's more like, because back then when we're wired to partner up. I think a lot of people don't realize that either. We're wired for that. We're wired to be with other people, especially in communities. We're wired to be in communities, and we're wired to be partnered. Now, because we're wired to do that, that's why a lot of people crave relationships. We crave connection, and it's part of our survival. We would be less, your body, once it's by itself, is saying, oh shit, I have a higher chance of dying now, which is why a lot of breakups are painful, because your body's giving you that message subconsciously. There's a lot of people you could look up that kind of talk about this. One is Stan Tacton, and he talks a lot about pairing up and why we do that naturally. And it's partially why we react so strongly when we're betrayed as well. Because when we connect with each other and we pick someone as our partner, not only is our emotions soothed and regulated like how a parent would a baby, but you are fully putting your safety, emotional safety. Now it'd be an emotional safety. Back then it'd be your physical safety as well, with your partner. And so when someone breaks that safety, you freak out. You're like, what is this?
Next one.
Next one.
Here we go. We have cranberry.
Cranberry. So you're not liking these so far. They've been 0 to 10. What are your ratings?
So far, this go around, passion fruit was okay. I would probably give that a 6. I wouldn't try it again. This one, nope. That probably more towards a 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a 2.
Vodka cranberry. Let's see.
I'm sure like a full one of these would get you pretty messed up though.
Oh yeah. For sure. Let's do a cheers.
Cheers. I like that one better than...
You taste more of the cranberry. It's not too bad. Wow. Yeah. So being a poet, you said you still do it 5 nights a week?
I don't do it as much anymore. I do it at least once a week, but I would say on average maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still get that rush?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I still get a rush. I still love the way it feels connecting to somebody and connecting to the artists. I also really love when people come up to me afterwards and start talking to me. because then it prevents me from like trying to make connections myself.
Right.
It becomes a little bit easier.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay, I did something right.
Yeah, so it's sometimes it's hard. I often go by myself, not knowing anybody. So it's been but I've definitely built like a really great community from poetry, and I love hearing other people's poetry. Everybody has their own style and their own cadences, and some people are like comedic poets, some people are revolutionary poets, some people are lover boy poets, it depends.
Well, I guess it kind of leads off to our next question. What's the most fulfilling part about being a poet and a writer?
Well, for me, it's definitely like intertwined for who I am. So I often talk about this with my illustrator who did Dear Big Brother. His name is Omar. He goes by El Oms. Yes. That's a copy right there. Dear Big Brother.
Pick it up.
And he said he would draw no matter what, like whether he's doing that professionally, that's his career, but whether that would be the case or not, he would be drawing no matter what. And I feel very similar to writing. I'd be writing no matter what. It's just something that is inherently a part of me. I think the most fulfilling part of me is that I feel more like myself when I'm doing it, when I'm writing. But being able to share that with people is a really beautiful thing too. And I mean, even more beautiful, the fact that like some people like it, you know what I mean? It's like that some people really connect with it and dig it. And I do think that I would be doing it either way, even if maybe people were kind of like, nah, it's all right.
What's next question? What's the most challenging part?
The most challenging part for me would be like, if there was a period of time where I haven't written, I put a lot of pressure on myself, like, damn, I need to get back into it. I haven't like produced anything in a while, or nothing has come out of me for a while. But I think that's also a reflection of kind of like what I'm going through in life. Like if life is pretty cool and stable, sometimes it's just like, there's just not as much material that's coming out, you know? Right. But I always have ideas. I'm always working on some projects. So that's always in the works in the back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's try our next beverage. Yeah. If you're ready.
Mm-hmm. I would say the cranberry's a little bit more refreshing.
So far, I'm not impressed. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm kind of sad.
A lot of my other ones have been big hits that I did not expect them to be.
I know. I'm so sad that I'm on the episode where everything's a dud.
The next episode I'm filming, it's going to be old beverages that we would drink as young teens.
Ooh, so like Mad Dog and 40s?
Yes, King Cobras, Old English.
Damn.
Not too exciting, but this one is vodka transfusion. Grape. Where, if someone wanted to find you with with one of your shows, where do you often go?
As far as me, maybe being
Smells kind of good.
Oh, it does. Let me see.
Smells. It reminds you of like the jam from Denny's.
You're right. What do you think?
Tastes like it with alcohol. It's not bad. To me, this is my favorite one so far.
Yeah, I would say the last two.
The boxes look cool. Looks like they're gonna taste really well, but not too exciting.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit more on the sweeter side. So I feel like something that's sweeter, mainly juice, although it has a good percentage of alcohol.
Yeah. Definitely.
So to find me, I guess as far as if I'm being featured for an open mic, that can be very random. But if you follow me on Instagram, IZTA Luna, I often post the flyers ahead of time.
I'll post it right here.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'll always I'm usually in either the LA area or the Orange County area, I helped to organize an open mic in downtown Long Beach called No Pulp Poetry Club. So that is just an open mic. People sign up and then you just read, whatever you're feeling or what you've been writing. It's a very like beginner friendly, no pressure. Sometimes you go to open mics and everybody's like professional.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like professional. They've been doing it for years, or there's like...
Is that intimidating?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. Like there's like, sometimes there's like veteranos that have been doing it since like, the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're just amazing. And, if you just started a year ago, you're just like, fuck, damn, I don't want to go up after this person. And, some people blow the audience away just because their poems are so intricate and there's so many references, or like sometimes there's poets that are singers and they bring, songs in between, their stanzas into between several parts of their poems. So it just like, it can be super just like, wow, I've never even like, they just took me on a journey and I never even expected to do that. So yeah, it could be super intimidating.
Nice. Have you ever thought about, have you ever done any shows outside of LA area, OC area? Have you ever thought about maybe doing like a vacation with a show?
Oh, I've like
Seattle, Portland.
Not to extent where I'm being featured, where like people are coming to see me.
Like open mic.
Right, yeah. But for an open mic, I have done Vegas. So I'd been in Vegas for like a couple days, and I was like, I'm just gonna see what the poetry scene is here.
Drop a couple bombs on them and get out of there.
Yeah, I was like, okay, bye. But they were telling me that like poetry is really big in Vegas. So at least the people that I met there,
right.
And they're like, yeah, it's really big. It's growing. Like it's actually like a big hub, and I think also maybe Houston too. Is like there's poetry's on the rise over there. I also want to go to San Francisco. I've heard they've had really great open mics there. So up north, Northern California, I would like to hit like maybe all the major cities in California. That'd be great. Yeah. I just have to plan the road trips,
Right. Any future plans?
Yeah, future plans. I'm hoping to create maybe like another short story based off of letters that I have from one in particular. There's somebody that I was like dating in high school. I was like a freshman. He would always give me letters, and then also my first like big relationship. We started our relationship through letters as well. So I've kept a lot of those letters, and so I might mix them in and base a story off of the letters or through the perspective of letters. So
nice.
Yeah.
Is there any advice you would give to any up and coming? I guess you could say individuals that want to be poets and do stand up or open mics or writers. I
would say if you're interested in open mics, just go ahead and do it. Like It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to read from a paper. It's okay to read from your phone. I think just as long as you kind of break the threshold and go in and do it is pretty much the most important thing. And then you can decide later on, like whether you want to be someone who memorizes poems or someone who just reads from their book, or it's pretty common for either way. So I would just say, hey, just pick a local one, just sign up. And it's nerve-wracking for sure. I was super nervous, the first time, but you meet the most beautiful people there. Yeah.
Nice. One thing I wanted to add before the end was, listening to your latest episodes on the unpurdy and the feelings. Mm-hmm. I said earlier, it made me feel sad. And one of the biggest things that it made me feel sad about was, the ending. The ending, it made me feel like, the last time when you hang out with your friends out and about running around as kids, and you don't realize it's the last time. Like, I feel like in those two podcasts, those final episodes, you're saying, we'll be back soon, or I'll be back next week.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that moment is captured, and it's kind of like a no. Because now it's been X amount of time, and it's like, bring it back. You know what I mean? Like it's cliffhangers.
Yes,
'Cause
absolutely.
it is like a we'll be back next week type of feel.
Yes.
And it's like
It's very true, and I've gotten some requests for both of those podcasts, in regards to bringing it back and having it continue. I think for the Feelings podcast, it's a little easier because me and Angel just kind of pick random topics. They're good topics, but random,
it's
super
good.
random.
Right.
There's really no structure for the Feelings podcast. I do feel like I kind of have to maybe start like a second season where it might be focused on, because I focused a lot on like a lot of the negative things that have happened to me in a romantic sense, but I would like to focus on maybe how I envision love would be, or how I envision how I would like to be loved. And I think sometimes that's very important as well, because sometimes we're not sure, we're not sure we expect our partner to maybe show us that. And I think it's really important to maybe understand, like, this is how I imagine, or this is what I value in a relationship, or this is how I value someone treating me. For me, like a quick example would be like, when I always like to, like, when I'm dating someone, I always like to ask the question, how do you fight? How do you argue? Are you someone who needs space? Are you someone that gets heated really easily? Are you someone that yells? Or are you someone that wants to talk about it right away? I like to know those things, because for me in particular, what makes me feel loved, even though we're not agreeing, is being affectionate, being able to be affectionate during those moments, and still saying, like, I'm mad at you, but I still love you. I'm mad at you, but I'm still here for you. I'm mad at you, but we're a team. We're gonna figure it out. I'm mad at you, but I'm not gonna leave. So it's like things like that is really helpful for me. But a lot of people feel like, well, when you fight, you escalate, and then you don't know when you're going to come back together. And I think it's really important to understand, like, damn, this is how I like to be loved, even though in tough times, because there's always going to be tough times. So I think I might focus on that a little bit on the second season.
Well, any final shout out?
And final shout outs. Thank you to Angel from Let Me Know podcast.
We'll sit up here.
He suggested me to come on here, so thank you. Also, if you want to follow my illustrator, El Ohms, he's not personally my illustrator, I just call him that. And he's doing really great projects too, so hopefully some animation coming out soon. He's really talented. And then if you guys want to come to No Pulp, you're more than welcome. So every second and fourth Monday of the month in downtown Long Beach.
All right. Well, guys, that concludes our podcast. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Bye-bye.
Tune in, sit down, it's time for the Brohams brews to shine. Sip it slow and take a seat. Join the chat, life's bittersweet.